G'day nomads, welcome back to another episode of Digital Nomad DNMs. Today we have on the show the lovely Stefanie, who's going to be talking to us about all things social media. We're going to be talking a bit about her perspective on travel, solo travel, and diginomad life in general, because she has a ton of experience in all of these areas. Hey Steph, how you going? Good to see you.
Hi. Yeah, good to see you too. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. It's been a little while, hasn't it? We last saw each other in Bali a few months ago.
Yeah, it was like June, July, right? So like half a year ago. Crazy.
Well, do you want to do a little intro? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Stefanie. I'm originally from Germany. That's also where I'm at right now. I worked in aviation for a couple of years. I actually loved it, but working in shift is not ideal. So I decided to travel in 2017 and have been traveling on and off ever since. So I converted a van. I traveled in my van around and just really enjoyed life. There were moments where you realize, okay, life is not endless and just making the most of it, until I realized, well, you do need money for that. And I was a bit tired of going back to Germany and always having to work again, save up, and doing the whole loop over again. So that's when I stepped into the digital nomad world. So I became a community manager in an online mastermind, and I help beginning entrepreneurs to just get their way into the online world. So basically what I've been through myself. I've been doing that for 1.5 years now, and I totally love it, to support them. And I also have by now my own business, and I help entrepreneurs to get more confident in front of the camera, level up their content, no matter which platform they're using it for, and just really using everything I've learned so far to give it on to everyone who needs support in that as well. And I love the life I'm living now. Having this freedom is just priceless.
You mentioned a van as well, like you were traveling around in a van. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so in March 2020, when the world was kind of shut down, I just started a new trip to South America, and I decided to go back to Europe just because no one knew what's going to happen in the next month, and I didn't want to just sit still in Germany. So within 2 days I decided I'm going to buy an old firefighter car and just convert it by myself so I can travel Europe, because that was still possible. So I was like, okay, let's do that. And 3 months later, I was on the road. I scrapped complete everything out and just like turned it into a super cozy home on wheels and traveled Europe, lived in my van, and also worked from there. So anywhere where I just needed internet connection, and then I could work.
Wow. So you don't, that's just like, that's a full bucket list thing, I think, that so many people would want to do, but would have no idea where to start. Like, how did you even find internet connection while you're traveling in a van?
Outside of Germany, it's so easy to find good internet connection because the data is really good. So usually I just get the first thing when entering a new country, just get a SIM card. My favorite story, I was in Kyrgyzstan, so in absolute Central Asia, and I was at a mountain lake at 3,500 meters altitude at a lake in the mountains, and I had 4G and I could do Zoom calls with perfect quality. Like, can you even imagine that? It was hilarious. So it was really not as difficult as you would think. It's really about finding a few tricks, like certain apps that show you the connection, how stable the internet is, and then you can stand literally in the middle of nowhere in nature and just have really good connections.
That's so good. Yeah, I suppose you've got a lot of time to yourself there, like such a good getaway, but did you get any loneliness creeping in, or were you able to meet people on your trip, especially in, was it Kyrgyzstan? Like, did you meet a lot of people there?
So that was a thing. I think that even though the intention about this trip was to go to Bali, because there are a lot of the community members were, and it was about like being in person with people, the whole trip in itself was a lot about being by myself and having time for myself, and it's something that has never happened like this for me before, because I was usually the person that always stayed busy, always had people around. And looking back, I just enjoyed it so much. You know, in the beginning it was a bit weird, and then I think after like 5 months I got slowly to a point where I felt like, you know, it would be nice to actually have more people around that I can talk about these things. And you meet people in the cities, but not so much in nature, and not so much digital nomad in those areas. Then I started missing it. Not that I was lonely, but I just felt like now I'm ready to take this step in digital nomad life to really be in this environment, basically.
And you said they're like setting an intention for the trip. Do you think that's important, like before people go on a trip, to set an intention, like what they want to get out of it before they leave?
When you dive into the online world, into being a digital nomad, it just comes hand in hand, no way around that. I realized that anything in life is about intention, like no matter what it is. Like if it's a friendship, a partnership, a job, working with someone, going on a trip, anything really is about why am I doing this and what is the intention behind it. Intention is a really big thing in life, that we humans, we grown into this pattern of totally avoiding these topics, of not thinking about why and why not, because it's just what society wants us to do, or it's just what you should do, right? It's just whatever. And then you totally lose the connection to it because there's no true intention behind it.
That's massive. I think travel's a beautiful way to just remind yourself and unlock that in your head of, okay, I do have some things I need to deal with. And if you can be aware of that before you leave and set that intention before you go, then you can have a better time, because it's going to come up later. Okay, what was the best and worst experience on your van trip?
I think the worst that happened to me was just that I got stuck twice in the mud and in like puddles because my car is not so strong and I just got stuck. But it also created beautiful situations then, like once there was like these two farmers. My Russian is like 2%, their English was -2%, so I was like kind of trying to like communicate, but they were so helpful and sweet. And then I met some really cool travelers the other time. They helped me, like they pulled me out of it. So even the worst situations I feel like created some beautiful moments and some unique moments. And the most beautiful ones, I think, moments where I was in the middle of the mountains in my van. I could just drink my tea, there's total silence around you, and you're still connected if you want to, but you can also just go for a hike for an hour and like no one would bother you. And exploring these areas of the world, having the opportunity with a car to just go to places people usually don't go, It's not about city trips, it's about really experiencing the country and the culture.
The other thing is no one can take that away from you as well. You've achieved that thing, you've overcome those challenges.
It's those moments that I would never want to miss. Like I've learned so much about myself. How do I deal with those situations and who can I count on? Like who's there for me, like those kind of things. It's very powerful and impactful.
For you, what's some of the biggest benefits to running your own business and being a digital nomad? And would you ever go back or consider a different life?
There's so many benefits, and of course there's the obvious ones, right? Being location independent, having the freedom to basically do whatever you want to do and live your life wherever you feel like comfortable right now, and you can decide with who you're working and all these things. I think those are the very obvious benefits. But what I've realized running my own business or being my own boss, the biggest benefit really is that I take the time and I have the space to fully get to know myself, my potential, my skills, my superpower I can bring out there to the people, where a lot of people that I know, and it was the same for me, when you work for someone, you just do whatever you're told to do, and there's probably not even the energy to think about anything outside of that. You have to fully know yourself, you have to know your weaknesses, your strengths, your abilities, and the room for improvement. And that I'm 100% sure I would have never gotten to that level where I'm at right now if it wasn't for being my own boss, running my own business and taking these steps.
For someone listening to this and being like, oh my gosh, Steph, you are a superhero, I want to do exactly what you do. Was there anything you wish you knew before becoming a digital nomad? And second part to that, before starting your own business?
One of the most important bits in this whole process was community. So really knowing people who are doing it already. A lot of people out there who decide to go this path, they feel like they have to do it on their own, because if you run your own business, people think, okay, but now you're by yourself. But you're really not, because there's so many people out there doing the same, doing something similar. And these people are so open and genuine when it comes to supporting each other. So I think that's something that I wish I would have known earlier. So if someone considers to get into this, I always say get in touch with people who live this life already and just talk about any doubts you're having, so you can have actual one-on-one conversations about it.
You're going to run into really good kinds of people traveling, for one, traveling, and for two, running their own business. Like you said, you don't get an option with personal development when it comes to like digital nomading, running your own business. You have to develop and grow, or you're probably not going to get very far. So the people that you meet are going to be all working on themselves as well.
Absolutely. And it's also about being selective in a way, because there's different types of people out there also when it comes to digital nomads. Some people just really do the work they have to and then they go party anyway. And then there's really people who constantly want to grow and progress, and there's no wrong or right either way. It's just about finding your people, you know, like really finding your tribe, so you know who you're following in this or who you want to join in this journey and want to have by your side.
How do you still develop relationships and like have deep and personal relationships in your life if you are traveling a lot?
I honestly have to say, and I love all my friends that I had before, but I think since I am working online and living this life, I've created the deepest connections I've ever had in my life, because the people you meet and you really connect with, you are just so connected. You just understand each other and there's no need for explanation. You just blindly understand each other. And for that, you don't even need to be in person with each other. That can happen through Instagram, through whatever, LinkedIn. Like, you can really meet people there that you feel so understood and connected with. That's something that I think a lot of people worry about a lot beforehand, because they feel like they're like lonely in this. But for me, it was the opposite. You're never alone. No way. Like, even if you want to, people will not leave you alone because they know that you need support.
Would you have any advice to solo female travelers?
Something I had to learn as a solo female traveler is that if you want to be alone, that's totally fine. You're not weird because you do want to be solo. I always said when I was a backpacker, I said, you're never alone if you don't want to. So if you choose to be alone, you can be alone. But there's so many people out there who are open to connect, and you just walk into a dorm room and you basically have 4 new friends, you know, like if you open for it. I would always say start small, like go for a weekend trip somewhere by yourself, maybe just the neighboring country or somewhere where you still speak the language. Just do it step by step. You don't have to quit your job and your apartment, everything, and just like go for the first time. You can just do it in baby steps.
Do you still have fears as a digital nomad?
I wouldn't really say fears. I feel like fears I don't really resonate with. I mean, there's always challenges around this lifestyle, I would say. I think the biggest challenge is constant adjustment when you do travel. So if you change location, of course, being in a place for 6 months is very comfortable because it's familiar, you found your thing and you have your flow. And then whenever you move on, that's also something that was a little bit exhausting in the van, that you never know what you're going to get. Like, how great will the connection be? Is the internet good enough there? Should I stay here? You know, like these kind of things. So you have to be very flexible and adjustable.
What would your advice be to anyone wanting to do what you do, or even to entrepreneurs in general? What would your biggest advice be at the moment? First
of all, I would really say, okay, know why you want to do this. Why do you want to run your own business? Who do you want to work with? Really be clear on what are you willing to sacrifice in the beginning. It's very important to know what people really need. It's one thing what you can offer, and it's another thing what people need.
And I guess it's bringing those two things together, of something that you really enjoy doing and something that business owners or just your target market really needs. If you can bring that together, then...
Depending on your why and your intention. So if it's really about getting out of the job you're doing right now because you're so unhappy and I just want to have more flexibility and freedom, you might go in steps to really get to where you want to be. It's really about taking the time to really grow into this.
Yeah, and there's definitely going to be a transitional phase as well. It's not putting the pressure on yourself, right?
Going on a path like this, the most important thing is to invest in yourself. Investing in yourself will pay off the biggest times you can imagine.
What do you think the future of digital nomading, but just remote work in general? Do you have any predictions?
I do think in the future it will become the norm to work remote, and at some point more companies have to understand that it also comes with happiness. So if their employees are happy when they can be wherever they want to work, they will also be more beneficial for the company. And it's not about they just want to lie by the beach and have a good life. Yeah, but what if so? It doesn't matter if the work is done in a great way.
I think companies are realizing that, you know, mental health comes first for employees, and you're going to have a more productive workforce if you look after your workforce's mental health first, and allowing them more freedom is a great way to do that.
Yeah, totally agree.
And Steph, what's next for you?
So I'm actually joining my first business retreat next week. So I'm going to be offline for a whole week, just brainstorming, networking on where I'm at right now, where everyone else who's there is at right now, and really fully diving into the future plans, because I do have the vision of creating a bigger agency to help more people in a more efficient way, to really bring my value that I've grown over time out there and collaborate with other people who have a lot of expertise themselves, you know, and really have this company running that I can also just step back a bit from that from time to time. Because that's the thing about being a digital nomad. When you're an entrepreneur and you have your own business, taking a vacation, it does not happen very often. because you're just like, you are the business, right?
Yeah.
So it's about like really making everything sustainable and creating this bigger vision and just like have a certain stability in life, you know, where I have even more freedom to choose spontaneously to do something. And I'm very excited about this because I can feel it and see it already. So yeah, let's see what 2023 is gonna bring.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. I always love talking about these topics, and whoever listens to this and feels just drawn to messaging me, talking more about these topics, I'm always so happy to share anything and everything I've learned, because that's why we're here to support each other, that you, like other people, don't have to go through the process I've been or other people been, and can just like in a glimpse get everything out of it. So thank you so much.
Awesome seeing you.
Yeah, and hopefully see you soon in Bali again.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can't wait. Got to work on my surfing. All right, take care.
Talk soon. Bye.